Shocker, this just in. Steve Z does not like Man of Steel. Snyder fans are outraged. Experts predict violence.
It feels like they are trying to slander Zack Snyder and the fans that supported the Snyder Cut and got it put onto HBO Max.
I will find him!
Man, those crazy Snyder fans are at it again. I mean, they just blew up my neighbor's house. That's just too far. Alright, so all you Snyder fans out there, just chill. Just watch the video, see what I have to say. Definitely have some good critiques, come on. I'll say a few good things about it. But yeah, check out SuperCaZt reviewing Man of Steel.
And welcome back to the SuperCaZt. I am the Superfosh, the man who puts the super in SuperCaZt. And it would not be the SuperCaZt without my buddy and partner in crime,
Steve Z, the man who put the Z in SuperCaZt.
And a few weeks ago, we talked about a film that we both really like. In fact, Steve just told me showed me he got it on 4K, and that was Superman the movie, the comic book movie that pretty much every comic book movie bows to at this point.
They should.
As they should, exactly. If you can't already tell, I'm a huge Superman fan. Have been my entire life. The character's very personal. And as I said, I grew up on Superman the movie, loved it. And then the Brandon Routh movie came out. I tried to like that movie. It's not terrible, but it's not good. It tries too hard to be like Christopher Reeve, and I didn't think that was the way to go. But they did.
I know this is not a Superman Returns review, but I think it was trying to do both things.
Yeah.
It was trying to be depressing, or not depressing, just kind of dark,
Yeah.
but also light at the same time. It just didn't know what it wanted to do.
Right. And the thing that I think hurt that movie, and like you said, we're not reviewing Superman Returns, is it never got a sequel. And I really felt like they could probably make a better film with a sequel. But that never came about. I mean, I remember following that for the next year. And, rumors would come and then they would go and blah, 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 blah. And finally the project fizzled out. Well, then this movie came out of nowhere. And it was like, oh yeah, the man that made 300 is going to do a Superman movie. Well, I like 300. I mean, it's an entertaining film. Sure, let's go for it. And then the cast list came out, and then Superman was named. It was Henry Cavill. Don't know who he is. British guy. Found out he's on that Tudors show. Fine actor. So the movie came out, and I watched it first at a drive-in, which you should never watch a movie like this at a drive-in. It's not the right place to watch a blockbuster type film, and I liked it okay. But then my partner in crime here with me went and saw it the next week, and I was living in Birmingham at the time, and we went to a pretty nice theater and had a good sound system, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good film. I thought Henry Cavill was a really good Superman. Amy Adams is a much better Lois than what was in Superman Returns with Kate Bosworth. Oh my gosh, don't get me started on that.
She was pretty terrible.
Oh, yeah. And so we wanted to, like I said, we had reviewed Superman the movie, but we wanted to revisit Man of Steel for this episode to kind of piggyback off that. And my love for the movie is not dwindled. In fact, it's probably growing by the second. But my partner in crime, he hadn't watched the movie since he watched it with me, and he did. So we're going to get his reaction here in a bit. But I'm just going to set up the film for you guys. Like I said, it's a reimagining of the Superman story with a new cast. And to me, I think the Krypton beginning is so much better than the original. I think Krypton is a much better Krypton than in the original films with Christopher Reeve. I really liked Russell Crowe as Jor-El, and I really liked Michael Shannon as Zod. He wasn't just a bow to me. He was literally wanting to keep his people, around because he knew something bad was about to happen, and wanted this codex that had pretty much the entire kind of a copy of the whole planet. And
are you going to tell us the whole movie, or are you going to just...
So, blah, blah, blah. So it blows up. Yeah, good idea. And then there's flashbacks. There's use of flashbacks of when he was a kid. And I thought Kevin Costner was a really strong Jonathan Kent. Diane Lane as Martha. And it was just, I don't know. The film really worked for me. But unfortunately, and it does happen, it did not work for my partner in crime after viewing it last night, was it?
Yeah.
So... You've heard me say my piece about the film. Let's hear it from the other side. And guys, before you get worried, we're gonna still be friends. We're still gonna host this show, and there'll probably be a movie down the line where I don't like that he does. So
yeah,
it's all fair. It's all fun.
Yeah, it's not personal.
No, not at all.
So, yeah, I watched it in the theater with you, and I actually liked it better that time.
Okay.
Last night, watching this movie, there's pretty much everything you just said. I can almost go the opposite on. So the Krypton stuff, I guess we'll start with that. It's
okay.
I like it okay, but there's just certain choices that I'm just like, what? Like, do you want to start your film off with somebody having a baby? It's just, it's not the best opening shot. We don't have that majesty, and I don't think they're trying to recreate the original. I'm not going to go there talking about the original too much, but it's just, this is a foreign land. This is an alien planet, and we're just zoomed in here on this person having a baby, and I'm just like, well, this is crazy. And I know it's kind of bewildering how they don't explain anything during this part. Mm-hmm. And I actually kind of like that. I wish they would have done that the whole movie, but they just explain it all later. They're just like, so this was what's happening here. This was what happened there. Mm-hmm. But Russell Crowe, I think he's not very good on the Krypton stuff. I think he's better as a hologram, which is weird. But especially that scene where Zod's group comes in. They're just having this meeting and nobody reacts. They're just like, oh. Yeah, he's here, I guess. Nobody gets up and says, what are you doing here? Or guards, nothing. They just this is a closed meeting. They're just sitting in their seats still. Russell Crowe does not react. He's just like, huh? His face does not change. And then Michael Shannon Zod just kills a few people right there. And it's just like, okay, now things just got serious. But it's just that whole opening scene it's just really weird to me. And I don't know. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say? And
I'm listening, man. I'm listening. I want you to plead your case. Keep going.
Okay, so Michael Shannon, he is good about 30% of the time. Okay. I mean, I can't really say when he is, but there's certain scenes where I can feel him. Yeah. And there's certain times where he's hamming it up, but not in a good way. Yeah. It's more like very bizarre line delivery, weird cadence, weird screaming for odd times. And I know some actors can pull this off. And I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I just think it's more the direction. I don't think he's getting very good things because it's not just him. I see it with a lot of the actors in this film. They'll have good scenes and they'll have terrible scenes. It's just my thing, but just some of them, they're just really funny line deliveries, when he's just like, I will find him. It's just that one part. It's almost laughable to me. So that's just the Krypton stuff. I think some of the visuals are really cool. Here's the good stuff. I think the dragon that apparently Jor-El has a dragon. I like that part. He just jumps off and the dragon catches him. I think the action is actually shot okay as far as the fighting.
Yep.
I think that part's okay, and I think Laura is actually she's an upgrade over the original. I think she does a really good job. I think she's more personable. She's not so wooden compared to the original.
I agree with that.
So I liked her, and I think this definitely looks cool. Granted, none of it's real. It's just all green screen, but I can go with that because at least the Krypton stuff looks pretty good. It's not like some of the effects later in the film. But I think it's a solid opening.
Yeah.
I think it's got some silly moments in it, and I'm okay if they lean into the silliness. I mean, comic book tone, we're really friends with it because we have so many comic book movies come out all the time now. But this one, I think it just doesn't go all the way for the comic book. It wants to be sort of based in reality, and that's hard to do when you're doing this silly stuff at the beginning, when you have General Zod just, that's blasphemy! Heresy! You cannot have a natural birth! I mean, they don't even explain that till later how pretty much why that's a big deal, that these kids are all bred to be certain things. So at the time when he delivers that line, it doesn't have any impact. So I think I'm going to stop for a bit.
Well, no, keep going. I was just going to say that I agree with you on the Zod thing because where the original in the he was clearly the villain. He was clearly on opposite sides of everybody, pretty much. And I do feel like they didn't know where to put Zod in this film. Like, is he a villain? Is he just a, what is he, anti-hero? What's going on? Because this Zod in Man of Steel seems to really care about the planet, which I don't think he did in Superman the movie. I think he was more like about himself and his two cohorts and everything. And I don't know that Zod really cared about the planet in that film. But yeah, I think it was sort of a little bit mixed in tone on him. And I know I'm going to jump a little bit, but when he does meet Kal-El for the first time in what they call the Smallville fight, it's almost like Zod wants him to be like, look dude, these people are the villain. I'm your buddy. I came from your home planet. But I kind of like that too. I kind of like that a little bit because it kind of gives Clark a false sense of reality in home life and everything. It's like, oh, he's from my home life, so I should be on his side. So I think that's kind of a good way to go there. But there were some scenes where I thought he was a little bit over the top. To validate your point a little bit, whether by direction or just performance, I'm not really sure. But I do think that Michael Shannon Zod is still a pretty solid villain for this story.
Yeah, I mean, I understand his motivation. I like villains that have a complex motivation where they think they're doing the right thing.
Right.
So I like that aspect of him. It's just, I don't know, it's just his acting in this film and just the look of him sometimes. Like, I don't know if you noticed that that's not his real body half the time. It's basically like a floating head just like there. And it's very distracting. I'm not going to get hung up on that too much. But let's get back to the other stuff. So we've kind of jumped ahead a lot on this so-called script.
Yeah, but we can go back. It's fine.
I guess we should probably talk about who the director is.
Yeah, so the director for Man of Steel, I guess we haven't said, was Zack Snyder. And like I said, he directed 300. That was the most notable film, at least from my standpoint. I think a film of his came out either right before or maybe even right after Sucker Punch or something like that.
Yeah, he had that. And Watchmen.
And Watchmen. I really like Watchmen. I think that's a good film. And I think maybe we should talk about that at some time. I thought he was going to be a good director, and I think for the most part, he did okay. But let's get into some of the cast. And I'll tell you what, let's do this so we don't just go beat by beat for the movie. We'll talk about some of the performances now, and you can kind of give me your little thoughts on that.
Can I talk about the director first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Definitely.
All right, so this is probably the biggest thing for me in the whole film, is his direction.
Okay. All right.
As in, it's so bad. It's some of the worst I've ever seen. Just because, and there are some scenes I like. I'm not gonna say the whole movie's just trash, but he's into this shaky cam stuff. In times it doesn't need it. Like it could just be Jonathan Kent talking to Clark Kent at a pickup truck outside. And for some reason, the camera is not on a tripod. It could be on a tripod. They're just shaking it. And I understand what they're trying to go for. There's like, oh, there's tension in the air. So we got to shake the camera so you know there's tension. But I'm like, isn't that what the actors are doing? Aren't the actors displaying with their dialogue that there's tension, that there's something amiss, that it's not good? I don't need this shaky stuff. But the even worse thing, they do it so much early in the movie, it just drove me crazy. It's like basically like it shows a shot, then it zooms in really fast. Like the guy's obsessed. Like I think he sat down with his phone or something before he's just playing around with his phone, just practicing zooming in. Because it looks so stupid. I don't know many other movies that do this. It just takes me out of the film. I'm like, dude, you just cut. Just cut to a different shot. Yeah. It just looks silly. Just like there's zoom and really fast. I mean, I like the slow zoom at times. It shows magnitude. But when you just do this fast zoom, it's just like, okay, I get it. It's an action scene. It's supposed to look cool. But I don't know, just that stuff and the color for half the movie, it just looks like just boring and sad. And I guess that's the tone he's going for. I really like some of the shots. I'll get into that later when I'm talking about the positives. But it's just, he makes so many decisions. I'm just like, what? What do you think?
It was an interesting way to shoot the movie. I'll give you that. And that's one of the things that kind of caught me off guard when I first watched this film. Is he tried to do a lot more, and I hope I'm saying this right, but a lot more intimate shots, and keep everything pretty close. Whereas if you go watch Superman the movie, it's very broad shots, and you got it's a massive film.
It's comic book panels.
And Zack Snyder thought, well, I'll just make it like about this. That was something, especially towards the beginning, that I really didn't like that much, because I thought, this Superman, this comic book movie, this has got to be big and broad. And there was some big and broad shots. I mean, the Krypton stuff. Like that one shot where Russell Crowe is looking out to the horizon and everything. There's a big, wide shot. It's really cool. It's definitely CGI, but
that's a cool shot.
Made really well, and that's a comic book shot. But then you have some of these, like you said, the Jonathan Kent, and let me say, and of course Jonathan Kent is played by the great actor Kevin Costner, and I thought he was a very solid choice for Jonathan Kent. I thought that he was, I don't know, it's a good choice. I thought that was a very solid choice. I did not really like the way they decided to kill. By the way, this is going to be spoiler for you guys. This movie's been out since 2013, so if you don't want to be spoiled by Man of Steel and you really haven't seen it yet, then go watch it, come back. But his death scene bothered me for a long time, and I think I'm just kind of coming around to it. Are you ready to talk about that, or you want to wait?
Yeah, we can talk about it since we're on him. So I think he's okay. I think he's fine.
Okay.
I think the biggest complaint I have with him is the writing. I just don't like how they wrote Jonathan Kent. I mean, I understand he's trying to look out for his son, trying to protect him, but at the same time, he gives him some bad advice at times. Like, he's like, so they're in the bus, and he saves the kids from the bus, and he's like, Dad, should I was supposed to just let those kids die? He's like, yeah, you should just let them die.
And that is a very, I think that's a question that you don't hear before in Superman films. Like, he could do it, but if he gets discovered, I don't know. I agree with you. I think that's an interesting part, and I'm not sure that I like that he said, yeah, you should probably kill the kids, because that nobody would be able to save them otherwise. So that's an interesting point right there.
I think his sacrifice, it's unwarranted. I mean, it's going to take Superman 2 seconds to save him.
That is something.
Just, it doesn't have any weight to it because it's so sudden, and you're just yelling at the guy like, you're so stupid. Like, he goes back for a dog, and I'm fine with that, but he goes back for the dog.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think he had plenty of time, and he could have saved him. So I agree with you. You have a valid point. Yeah.
He could use the tornado as cover. I mean, Superman can fly through a tornado. Come on. So I don't think anybody would notice that Clark was just gone for half a second. I mean, it happens all the time in comic books. Like, where'd Clark go? And then he's back. So it's just, that part, just the way he's written. I don't mind the performance. I think it's an admirable thing to have that different take because, I mean, I said we wouldn't do it, but the original Jonathan Kent, he's just perfect. He's such an idealist. He's just like, Clark, you're a good boy. You're going to be used for something. And now they've actually reversed that. Now it's Jor-El that's saying, yeah, you're going to be a beacon of hope. You're going to help them out. And that's why I'm like, his absent father is actually the better father in this film. I think he gives them better advice.
Good point.
I think Russell Crowe is better as the hologram. Like I said, I think he's a little more animated. He just has better delivery with the lines. I think he's just pretty good.
What about Diane Lane as Mom Kent? What'd you think of Diane as Martha Kent?
I mean, she's pretty good. I mean, I have no complaints. I don't think she was that strong, but definitely not weak. I think there's one scene I like with her, where Clark comes back and sees her, and it's shot. Actually, this was one of the scenes I was like, this is shot pretty well. Is whenever, I don't know why there's a glow on his face. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's like piano playing in the background, and they're just having a good conversation about what's going to change in their lives and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought she was okay. I mean, nothing to write at home about, but still not bad.
Okay. Let's go with so we talked about Michael Shannon, Russell Crowe.
We're leaving out the two leads, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll get to them. Sure. Okay. Lawrence Fishburne. Now we're gonna jump ahead a little bit to Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. Now before you say your piece, I'll go ahead and continue to champion this film. And I thought this was a very solid choice for Perry White. I thought Lawrence Fishburne did a fine job. He was comic booky, but it's a comic book film, so I think it worked really well. I think it's a solid performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought he is the best actor in this film. I think his scenes were the best. Unfortunately, he's only in the movie for like 3 minutes.
Right.
I mean, I didn't get out my watch and time it, but it's
not long. It's not long.
Yeah, but I think he's really good. I think his just delivery and just he has got gravitas. He's in the scene. You're zeroed in on him. You're watching him. You're hanging on his words, and I think he's really good.
Okay, so here we go with Amy Adams as Lois. Now, again, I'll go ahead and say my piece and say that I really appreciate what they did with Lois in this. I think she had the spunk that Margot Kidder has. I think she's a very motivated reporter, and you kind of see that in her intro when she jumps off the helicopter. I think she does a really good job. I think she is a very bright spot in this film. Your thoughts, my friend?
This is what I'm torn on because I like some aspects of what they've done with her character.
Sure.
Like, I like that she does do the Lois thing. She's gonna go get in trouble. Just immediately she sees Superman, and she's like, "Oh, what's he doing? I'm gonna go inside this spaceship and see what happens." And then she gets attacked by some creature or the robot thing. I also like how she's actually a good detective. I'm just trying to figure out how she's able to track all these people down. That's kind of crazy. She's like friends this guy at this random IHOP and stuff. But I like that aspect. But as far as the actress is concerned, she's okay. I think they want you to like her just because she's Lois. I don't think it's earned totally in this film. I don't think she really does that much. I think she's just there. It's just, I don't know. I don't buy their love. It just seems like, this is the part where we fall in love. I like you, you like me. There's just no sparks. Nothing to lead up to it. It just happens. And I just don't get that. I mean, I guess he saves her life once just because he happens to be in the next room. So I don't know. I'm torn on it a little bit. I like some things she does, but at the same time, I can't get behind it totally. It just seems like she's just riding off the coattails of what we're supposed to expect from the character.
And we finally come to it, and that is Mr. Cavill as Kal-El / Superman / Clark Kent. Again, I'll do the positive side at least, and say that he looks the part.
Yeah, he
I think
is.
he is very much ripped from the comics. I think he's got the physique, and he is... See, this movie's interesting, too, because I'll say this, is I wanted more out of him in this film. I really felt like they handcuffed him for it to be a Superman film, a little bit. Like, yeah, he was there and stuff, but he hardly says a whole lot, you know? Like that one scene, and I do like the scene, but it's interesting that with the trucker at the bar.
Yeah.
And I know he's trying to act tough, and he's trying to, you know, just... But then what does he do? He goes outside and he tears up his truck. I'm like, that I thought was a little overkill. I don't think Clark would have done something like that.
No.
So I do agree that maybe that was a little bit, you know, not in Superman's character. But I do think that Henry Cavill shows the goodness in the character. I think he shows, you know, he is a good person, minus the whole beating up the truck thing. But I do feel like that they handcuffed him a little bit. I don't know if that was by design. I don't know if that's just the writing itself. But I would definitely say that was one of the things that I noticed right away, is that for a Superman film, there's very little of Superman. And I mean that, like, there's very little him talking and stuff. A lot of people talk about him and that kind of thing. But it's just... I felt like he was definitely handcuffed a little bit. Your thoughts?
Totally agree. I think he looks like it. And I think it's the writing that brings his character down in this film.
Yeah.
It's the writing, or it could be the direction. I'm not sure, because it's one of those things I've been talking about where he's got some scenes where he's really good. Like, to me, there's a scene, you know, where he gives himself up and he's in there in the interrogation room. That feels like that was from a completely different movie.
I agree with that.
He actually seems like he's at ease. He's like saying some great lines. I like where just anything he does with the military. Anytime he's talking to them, I'm just like, I like this Superman. I think that part is really good, but there's parts that it's just kind of like he's not really doing much. He's just reacting. Just like he's on a ship, and randomly he just comes across this oil tanker that's about to blow up. He's like, I guess I'll go rescue them because I'm here. There's definitely some beats of Superman, but I don't feel the warmth from him that I want to feel. I mean, Superman's supposed to be just the ultimate good guy. He just like brings you up. And this one, maybe he's going to be there, because that's kind of, I guess, the whole thing they're going with this movie is that he's not Superman.
Right. And I think that was the point.
Finds the suit.
Yeah.
Even when he finds the suit and he tries to fly for the first time, he's not Superman. He's trying to figure everything out. So maybe that's what they're going for.
I think so.
But at the same time, maybe it's just because Jonathan Kent messed them up. He's just not that likable for half the movie. It's just like he's so reluctant, and that's the thing. Because like, imagine if there was a movie where the hero was supposed to go on a journey or something, and they just don't do it for half the movie. That's what his character is. It's just like, I don't know if I want to be Superman.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm going to steal this. Somebody said it in this video I was watching. They said, imagine in Star Wars if Luke's like, I'm not going with you, Obi-Wan. And he just sits there for like an hour and doesn't do anything. No, it's like, no, we need him to go do stuff.
Well, here's my defense on that. And I get your point, and I'm not saying that it's not valid. But here's my response to that. He doesn't learn that he is a alien until he's like, what, 12, 13 years old kind of thing? So for 12, 13 years, he's thought, that's my parents right there, and I come from Kansas and that sort of thing. And even when he does find out, you know, Jonathan Kent basically says, forget about it, don't worry about it, don't show anybody, let's just be, you know, let's not stir the pot, as it were. So I don't think the desire really actually came to him to want to figure out his past until his dad died. And he's like, well, his dad's dead now. I got to go find out who I really am. Because he would be the only person that would have probably stopped him. Be like, no, you shouldn't do that. You know. That's over and done with. So I think that's part of it with the way that it takes so long. Also, I think, and this is going to be kind of a rant, so I apologize, but I really think that DC tried to do something radical with Superman, and there was a whole lot of pushback on that. I think there was a whole lot of people going, well, it's not Christopher Reeve, so it's not Superman. There was a lot of Christopher Reeve in the Brandon Routh film. Let's make no bones about it. Used the same music, all that good stuff. But DC was like, okay, let's make our own version. Let's make a new version. And people were like, no, that's not it. So I think that was part of it. It's just there's so much pushback and everything. DC's they are just, I don't know. I don't think they've got their crap together a lot of the time. And they're like, let's try this. And then as soon as somebody says, no, I don't like it, they're like, okay. I think they need to commit to something. And I think that Henry Cavill could lead a 3 or 4 movie Superman series just fine. If you give him the proper, story and the writing is somewhat decent, I think he's excellent. But I think his problem was that DC just don't know what to do some part of the time. I mean, I think that's why, even go back to Superman Returns, that they didn't get a sequel. Because they just didn't know what to do. For all the crap that I could give Marvel, and I don't want this to be a Marvel versus DC debate, so I'll leave it at this, but Marvel knows what they're doing. They're like, this is what we're going to do, and we do it, and there it is. Whereas DC is like, let's try this. Because, think about it, they're even doing that now with Batman.
Yeah.
Because now, and I definitely don't get into the Batman thing today, anyway, but I think that's part of the problem with this film, is they had some good ideas, and they had a really good vision, but some of the time, that vision seemed a little bit off.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's why if you notice, pretty much everything I've said, it's like, it's got this, but for the most part, it's that.
Right.
And it's just like they can't commit to something. It's like everything's uneven.
I remember my first time seeing this movie, I wanted to like it more than I did. Like, I wanted to just be crazy about this film and just be ready to see it again. And I liked it. Excuse me. But it wasn't until that second time that I saw it with you in the theater that I got the full experience with the surround sound. And that's how you should watch this kind of movie. You should not go to a drive-in if you're watching a Superman film, by the way. No. But, yeah. So, a lot of your points are very valid, and I agree with them to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you. I think Henry Cavill, if he would have got a little bit of a better shake, I think he would have done more with his part. I think he definitely has potential. I think there's some scenes where he just carries it. But unfortunately, I'm not going to go into that again. It's just something brings him down for part of the movie. Right. So I really would like to see what happened if he would have just another solo Superman film before they did the Batman v Superman thing. But it just seemed like they wanted to rush this whole catch up with Marvel thing.
That's it. Yeah, I think that was the problem. Again, I think when they saw Marvel just really taking off, they felt like they had to do something big and massive.
Yeah, and we're not going to get into that because that's a totally different movie.
It is.
But let's get some of these loose ends we have. So,
sure.
Do you want me to get some good stuff I liked, or?
Yeah, go for it.
So there's a few standout scenes I really liked.
Okay.
And I'll contrast it to some scenes I didn't like.
All right.
So, first off, I think everybody could probably universally say they like that scene where he learns to fly.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. Just good visual storytelling, no dialogue. Just you see him fall, he gets up, dusts himself off, tries again.
Did you know in that scene when he starts to actually fly, you kind of hear the wind thing from the George Reeves show?
No.
Yeah, it's very famous. They put it in there because this was like the anniversary when it came out. I think like the 80th anniversary of Superman, so they put that little sound in there when he's flying.
Cool. But yeah, I like that scene. I think that's probably, I know we're about to get into music, but I think that's probably the best music of the whole film. And I really like that scene. A scene I don't like, to contrast it with it, is because they get on that, the one I was just talking about, they're not heavy-handed. They're just letting it work. If they wanted to, they could develop that into like a short film. But this is where they get very heavy-handed, and it just made me laugh.
Okay.
So Jor-El's talking to Kal-El and just saying, "Hey, go rescue Lois Lane because she just went off in the skate pod." He's like, "You can rescue her. You can save them all." Yeah. And then he does this stupid cross thing. Yeah. He like jumps backwards, like, "Look at me, get it, I'm Jesus." It's cool. Yeah. And I'm just like, I just laughed. I was just like, why would he ever turn around like that and fly? I mean, it's just silliness. So I already mentioned that one scene I did like earlier too, with the glow on the face where they're talking, and I really like the scenes with the interrogation and all that. So I think I've hit most of my scenes I really liked. I'm going to hear your thoughts on the action.
So the action I have loved ever since I watched the film for the first time. I love the fight scenes, especially the Smallville one in particular, because it's not, stylized. It's really rough, and a lot of stuff gets torn up. And I think that's how it would be if Kryptonians went to battle on Earth. I think it would be not very pretty of a fight. And obviously Kal-El doesn't know how to fight, so he's trying to figure that out while having super strength and kind of stuff. And so I really like that. I think I actually like the Smallville fight more than I do the Metropolis fight at the end. Well, there's some cool shots with Metropolis, but that's mostly CG there too. So, and there is a lot of CG work in both fights and everything, and I understand that. But I think for me, I really think the Smallville fight is pretty daggum entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, there's elements I like of it. I think there's definitely, you can feel the impact. You can feel the punches.
Yep.
I think where it gets me is kind of what you're getting into, is just the presentation of it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just like Zack Snyder gets in his own way. He wants to shake the camera. He wants to do stuff that just kind of like doesn't look believable at all. Like the objects have no weight to them, and that's what takes me out of it. And I think there's just too much of it. This last hour of the movie, like, I was ready for the movie to wrap up, and I thought it was going to, but then I'm like, this movie still got 50 minutes left, and it's just all fighting. It's just like these superhuman things, and they're all invulnerable. They can't hurt each other, and they're just like, it's almost like there's no stakes other than the poor innocent people that could possibly get caught up in the crossfire. And I'm not going to go that whole thing is like, oh, they should have flown out of the city and all that. I know that's what a lot of people say about this film, is like, Superman wouldn't have done that. But I'm going to give him a pass on that. I'm going to say it's desperate times. I mean, Zod tried to kill his mom, or was torture him, so he's angry. He's not thinking straight. So I'll give him a pass on that. So I don't know. It's just the action. I think it could have done a little bit better. Granted, we don't really have anything to compare it to, because the action in the old films was just not really something they were all about. So I just maybe just decrease it a little bit. I think the action is just cut down just a tad to make it more impactful when it happens, and less of just like, I've been watching people punch each other for like 5 minutes, and it just looks the same every time. Yeah,
it was definitely a spectacle, and they're obviously going for the spectacle for this kind of situation. And I get your point, though. I think that Zack really relied on the spectacle, maybe more than he should have. Maybe the writing, I don't know. I don't know why they were so heavy-handed on that, because at the beginning of the film, it's basically all talk. It's like this film went from just all talking to all fighting. And that can work, and I think it does still work to an extent. Because again, I think this film is trying to do everything it can to separate itself from the other films. I think it's showing right out of the gate, this is not going to be your Christopher Reeve movie. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, I'm okay with that. For the most part, I'm good with another direction. But there is some inconsistencies, and there is some things that I think, looking back on it, it probably could have done better. But as I said earlier, I don't know if that's always going to be Zack's call, Zack Snyder, the director, or DC, or Warner Brothers, or who is meddling, because that's my fear, and that's it seems like it's coming true nowadays, is that DC got way too involved, or Warner Brothers got way too involved in the story and the way this film was made, and just didn't let them do what they wanted. And I'm not saying that's the whole truth, but that's just kind of a theory, and I've heard that from several people.
I mean, it's possible. Which I'm glad you reminded me. I've given more props to the film. That middle third is my favorite part of the whole film, where he's like piecing things together. He's doing some soul searching. Not really that many big set pieces, other than he saves those people on the oil rig and he fights that robot or whatever. That's my favorite part of the whole film, is that little part, that middle part, before Zod and them show up. But I'll give it credit for that.
I mean, this film is not a perfect film, and it definitely does have its flaws. But like I said, I think I heard a lot of people just slam this film when it came out. I mean, just butcher this film to death, and I just thought that's not fair. I just thought that people really thought they were going to get another Christopher Reeve type film, and when they didn't, there's different versions all throughout our history, pretty much. So to try to say, oh, we can have his Christopher Reeve type Superman, I don't think that's fair. And I don't think that was fair to say for the movie, for the actors, and for the director, for Zack Snyder. I think they really tried to make a really good film, and they tried to do something a little bit different. And for this reason or that reason, they got a lot of pushback. And ever since then, I feel like DC has tried to play catch up. But even with a good movie, and even with a better story, there's flaws in it, and I don't completely blame that on Zack. So it's something that I've been harping about for years. It really is. And I don't want to blast DC or Warner Brothers on this show, but I think that's part of the reason why this film is so divisive.
Yeah. And I guess I'll end it on a controversial note.
Go for it.
Just because I wanted to interrupt you in the middle of your spiel, then just because you mentioned this one thing, is like they do certain of the characters that people got really mad about. And there's one actually decision they make at the end that did not bother me the first time I watched it, and it didn't bother me this time.
Okay.
I wish there would have been a little more build up to it, as in, I'll explain in a second, but it's the end scene where he kills Zod. That did not bother me, just because I think that's the only thing he can do at that point.
Right.
Zod said he's going to just kill them all, and Superman, he's inexperienced. He can't take on a guy like Zod that's trained and all that, so kill him. That did not bother me. I think if I was going to do it better, I would have had some build up to it, saying Superman does not like to kill. Some line right there, because really we don't know that he doesn't like to kill. I mean, there's no precedent for this. So yeah, but him killing to save those people, I think that was okay. And I know the whole decision he makes to go with humans over Kryptonians, I think that's a valid point to make. So that didn't bother me, and I'm not going to get into the whole how they destroyed the whole city and killed all those people, because that's been done to death. I just think that was an okay decision at the time to end the movie that way. Once again, I wish they would have done some reflecting afterward, because he does his scream. I mean, the next scene, nobody says anything about it. It's like, nobody brings up, oh, Superman killed Zod, or Superman's not like, I'm sorry I had to do it, but I had to do it. But I'm fine with that decision. I thought that was okay.
So here's and you mentioned the scream, that was definitely going to be my first part. But I think it's still I think it's a big thing. I think if Superman would have been fine with it, he wouldn't have screamed like that. I mean, the agony on his face, and then he screams, is like, I can't believe I had to do that. I didn't want to do that. I think what's written on his face is, I didn't want to do that. And I don't know if you've seen BVS, but there's a scene where he tells Lois, I gotta get Batman on my side or I'm gonna have to kill him. And he says it like, I don't really want to kill him, but I'll have to. And I think that's the kind of the attitude that he has in this movie, is that, I don't want to see innocent people get murdered right in front of me. So I think that's what he had to do. I really did not understand why there was so much pushback on that. Because, I mean, he kills Zod in the Superman movies, in the Christopher Reeve movie. He throws him down this thing. I mean...
Yeah, but that's just more ambiguous. It's just like, they just fall in there. And I think actually in the TV version, they come out at the end. They're like, ooh, there's like floating in something.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah, it's just silly. Yeah, let's close the door on this thing. Let's finish it up.
Yeah, so this movie, again, as we saw here, it's very divisive. There's a lot of good things, some not so good, some actually really bad, sure. But I still have a really soft spot in my heart for this film. And I really hope that Henry Cavill gets to do another solo film as Superman. Will he? I mean, it depends on what you read nowadays. Some say that he will, some say he won't, some say he's going to be next year.
Yeah, and I think, even though I was beating up on you and beating up on the film for most of this time, I think it's nothing personal. I like that you like it. I like people that like this movie. It's just my opinion.
That's all it is.
And I'm not a crowd of people like piling on it. If that's you, that's fine. But at the same time, watch the movie yourself and make up your own mind. And I think everybody should give films a certain shot. I think you should go in with an open mind. I tried that, and there's definitely some parts I liked. Yeah. So that's all I can say. I have a very complicated feeling with this film, and
that's cool, man.
It's okay.
I mean, and we started it by saying that, we were going to be friends after this. We're going to still do the show. And, I knew that, and that's why I told you not to tell me anything until the show, so you get your one reaction. And, again, like I said at the start, there are movies that I don't like that you like. I think, like what you said, there's this generation that hides behind a computer and just blasts people online all day long, and I don't have time for those people. I really don't. I mean, there's too many of them out there, and I also respect your differences. So, it's we're just having a fun discussion here. No flying or anything like that. So, yeah. And
that's how it should be. We should
Amen.
Have it discuss. Everybody speaks their mind. As long as you can defend it, that's cool. But at least the big thing is, give it a shot.
What other films do you guys like that maybe don't have a big following or have been criticized? And we're not going to go down the whole guilty pleasure thing. I'm talking about films that
We just did that.
Yeah, exactly. We did that on our previous episode. What film do you feel like you not get a fair shake that probably should have? Let us know in the comments, and we'd be glad to hear from you guys.
All right, so here we are closing the door on yet another review. It was fun. It wasn't heated. It was a good discussion. And right around the corner, we have 2 pretty big shows coming up. Very different shows.
Yeah, we do.
We have one, the film that basically restarted the franchise in 1995, GoldenEye.
Woo.
Yeah, you guys know that we're Bond fans. We haven't done one in a while. Here's Pierce Brosnan in GoldenEye.
Yep.
We also have a film that I'm pretty sure Superfosh has no idea what it's about. And I bet you there's a lot of people in the audience that don't either. But it's a film I just want to throw out there. Probably going to get terrible views on it, but we might get a ton. Who knows? And that's Shaolin Soccer. Love Stephen Chow. Can't wait to watch this film again.
Sweet.
Thanks for joining us yet again. This has been a good episode. We'll see you next time on the SuperCaZt. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the SuperCaZt. We release these twice a week, so if you want to stay up on things, check out our Facebook group and our Twitter. We're very active. We'd like you to be active too. So find us SuperCaZt spelled with a Z. Also stay tuned to YouTube where we do live streams and stuff like that. Just like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the SuperCaZt.